Claude full course, 1 hour. Here's how to build and automate anything. In this 1 hour masterclass, I'm going to show you the exact Claude AI systems I've built to automate my entire workflows, from X automations to building mini apps to running live streams. Whether you're brand new to Claude or ready just to go beyond the basics, you'll walk away knowing how to use Claude Code, agent computer use, Claude directly, connectors, and more to build real tools that actually save you time. So if you've never been on Claude before, this is what it looks like. You can switch between APIs. My personal favorite is the Opus 4.5 model. And then from here, you can start using it. It is connected to the web as well. So you can see here, if we click on the plus side, you can switch between web search. You can use it for research. You can add from GitHub, add from Google Drive. You can add to different projects, take screenshots, even upload files and photos. And you can also use different styles as well. Top of that, you can connect it to Google Drive, Calendar, and Gmail. So you can actually, for example, manage different apps. As you can see, you can connect it to Gmail, Google Calendar, even Zapier, and PayPal if you want to. If you click on custom connector here, you can actually connect it to all sorts of MCPs if you're into that stuff. All right. So we're going to get straight into this. The way that I'm going to begin by using it, feel free to ask if you're watching live. If you've got any questions, feel free to ask. We're going to sort of kick it off by showing you some of the actual practical use cases for this, right? So, for example, if we check out this page here, I actually built this using Claude Opus 4.5. And then I loaded it into my website, and it is a pretty nice landing page, probably one of the nicest I've built and one of the best converting, right? And the way that I've built it is literally by just taking the information from my website over here. And if you've got a website that you need to redesign or a landing page to build, or you got some information about an offer that you need to create, etc., then you can grab all the information from your website and then plug that into Claude and create a custom landing page for it. So, for example, if we take this information from the page, then we're going to go over to Claude over here. We're going to paste in this information. And then from here, we can say, okay, build a beautiful modern landing page for this information, right? Goal equals convert traffic. And what I did as well when I was building this out is I actually send it directly over to our portal page, right? Where we want to direct traffic and convert it. So if you have a specific page in mind that you want to direct traffic to, you can just copy the URL and then make that CTA throughout the page, right? So we can say, okay, CTA button link throughout the page equals that, right? And then you can take the information from whatever landing page you want to pick as well. You can plug that into Claude and say, okay, using this, send traffic to this offer, or here's more information about our offer, right? And then you can build out the landing page. Now, what it's going to do from here, typically it will start creating in something called artifacts, right? Which is kind of like a preview for the landing page you're creating. So you can see here it's actually using custom skills, and we'll actually come onto that later as well, how to build custom skills that you can reuse. And that's another powerful feature inside Claude. You can see here it's now creating the landing page, beginning to code out. And I can't code. I don't really understand HTML. I don't understand CSS, but I can quickly build a beautiful landing page like this using Claude and then just plug in the HTML into wherever I want to host my website. You see another example. If we go onto the AIProfitBoardroom.com, this is another landing page that we actually built using Claude. And again, we followed a similar method, right? But the difference is this was with like the older version of the AI. Whereas, for example, this, we're using the newer version, which is Opus 4.5. And Opus 4.5 is one of the most powerful models that I've ever used when it comes to building with AI. So it's coding out now in the background. We can always come back to that later, but it's basically beginning to design it all out. And if we have any changes once that's done, we can always say to Claude later, okay, improve this, tweak that, screenshot this, and improve that, etc. And that is how to build landing pages. Now, another way that I'm actually using this is to create limited time offers for promotions that I want to promote, right? I'll give you an example of this. Let's say you've got an offer on we sell backlinks, right? We could create limited time offers for our backlinks and then post them inside our school community, right? Our free school community. We could, for example, create that content and then post it on LinkedIn or onto YouTube community or even X, right? And we can share like these different bonuses that we're giving out. And so the way that we do this is we actually have a project just for that. Now, if you're not familiar with what a project is, basically this is like a custom GPT if you ever come across them. If not, what you can actually do is you can go to, for example, let's open this sidebar. You can go to projects over here, right? So if you open up the sidebar, Then you click on projects. You can go to here and you can see that we've created all these different projects for different stuff. And this just automates any task. Now, any task that you're doing day to day that you're spending a lot of time on, I would recommend creating a Claude project, because basically what that is, it's kind of like a custom bot that you can come back to and tweak anytime you need to. And then if you've got a recurring task, instead of you prompting it all over again or copy and pasting an old prompt or having to rebrief the AI over and over again, what you can do instead is you can create these new projects, right? When you create a new project, let's say, for example, you want to create an SEO writing project, we could name it whatever the task is. So we can put SEO writing project. Description, I usually just don't bother with because I'm trying to move for speed. And then over here, you can add three things, right? So you've got the memory, you've got the instructions, and you've got the files, right? And inside the files, you would attach like different pieces of knowledge that would be useful for you. You can pull those in from GitHub or Google Drive as well. You have instructions, which are kind of like the custom instructions to tell the AI what to do each time you create with this. And then you also have memory, right? And the memory actually appears after a few chats. Now, when you're using the memory, essentially you'll remember different bits that you'd like. So for example, if you have certain preferences or certain things you want to change, or you have certain things that maybe you forgot to put inside the instructions, you can add it to the memory later and Claude automatically updates it, which means that it can remember how you want to do that task, which again saves time and just gets things the way you want it to be. Now, if we have a look here, we've now got the landing page, as you can see, right? And we've got the HTML over here. So this is from the first task that we're building out, right? And so we've got this landing page with the HTML. We've got the details of the offer like this. And then you can see here, it's a beautiful landing page that we've just built out, and it's pretty nice, clean, easy. It's actually pulled in the testimonials that we pasted in and added that to the list as well. It's got all the information about our agency. It's all customized to us. It's including the details of the offer. And again, that was just automated whilst talking to you. Now, there's a couple of ways you can do this. You can actually publish the artifact. And if you publish the artifact like this, you can actually share that link with other people on the web, right? So if we go to this artifact right here, you can see that we now have this page live, and this is just ready to share with the world. You could use that as a landing page. The other way that you can host this is you can actually download the project files and then host it on something like Netlify, and then create a custom domain for it. This landing page, aiprofitboarding.com, that's what we did. We took the project files, then we went to Netlify and we uploaded the project files and then hosted it on there. The other option that you have for this is you can actually just grab the HTML and then you can go to WordPress, or you can go to Go High Level, you create a new HTML block and then you paste it in, right? And that's another option you've got as well. So that's how you automate landing pages. Now let's talk about these Claude projects that we're building, right? So for example, we have a look at this SEO writing project. What you can do from here is you can automate the tasks you do regularly. For example, for me, I have an SEO agency, right? And so one of the things that will be super useful to use all the time is to take a prompt that we use for SEO, and then my team can just use this project to create SEO content. As for example, if we take an example blog like this, maybe we'll go to this video to blog post process. As you can see, we're going to take one of the prompts from this, and then we're going to paste that into the instructions like this. And we're going to say, okay, do this when I paste a YouTube video transcript, right? And then it's got all the information about how I like to write content. So for example, like create 5 fairly short attention grabbing headline options too. When I paste in this video, do this, blah, blah, blah. And then if I include a keyword, do this, optimize it around my keyword. After each sentence, do this. And the cool thing about this as well is with Claude, better than any other AI I've used, it sticks to instructions very carefully. And I think that's fantastic, because if you're using something like ChatGPT, the problem with ChatGPT is like it forgets things or ignores things, or even if you say it like 3 times inside the instructions. Whereas Claude seems to stick to these kind of long super prompts much more accurately, right? Which means that you're going to get the thing better first time round rather than messing around 10 times and it messes up every time. Eric says, do you sleep? Content is fire. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate that. And you can see the source context here. So what we've actually done is loaded information about where we want to send our traffic to. So what is the CTA inside the blog post that we write? And then also who we are, right? So Julian Goldie, SEO entrepreneur, blah, 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 right? And then we've included some instructions on how to write it to simplify the language as much as possible. I do recommend always asking Claude to do that. And the reason for that is because Claude is really good at writing, But one of the biggest issues is you want to make sure that you keep the language simple and easy to understand, right? If we're writing content as well, we want to make sure it's easy to read and feels conversational, add nice headers and subheaders and that sort of thing, right? Here's all the information, right? And then if we zoom out here, we're going to save those instructions. I can attach files of like blog posts that I like previously if I'm building out an SEO writing project. And then from here, we can type in our keyword and the video transcript. And I'll show you how you can use this, right? So for example, if we go over to YouTube here, and then we're just going to grab an example transcript. So let's take this one. And let's say the keyword is, for example, Claude Ralph Loop, right? We're going to go over to Claude and put keyword equals. And then we're going to take the transcript from the video, like you can see right here. And then we're going to copy this and we're going to go back over to Claude, paste that in. You can see that it won't appear inside the chat. It will actually appear as an attachment because it's such a long piece of content, right? You can see how long that is. So if it's a long attachment, you'll go here. If it's like a shorter few sentences, when you paste in, it'll actually appear underneath the instructions. So from now, we're going to hit enter, and that'll begin to generate the content for our SEO blog. Now, if you actually bookmark, this is what I always recommend. So for example, we call this Claude Project SEO Writer, and then I'm just going to put that inside my bookmarks, like you see. Then I can just come back to it, right? And I think that's super useful and underrated. For example, when I want to come back to this, so I can type in Claude Project SEO, and then it will just come up with the Claude project that I can quickly find, right? And then you can just open up a new tab and boom, you can get straight back to that. Pretty nice. So that's how this works. Claude is goated. Asked it to write me out a digital product thinking. I would just get an outline. It spits out 150 pages. It's outrageous how good Claude is. And it can create a lot of content in bulk. Like you can see, it's just blasting out the word count here. And it's writing it better than I could personally write it. But on top of that, it actually writes it in the exact format that I like, right? So for example, if I'm writing SEO content, I want to front load the keyword inside the first sentence as well. And then also you can see that the content is like nicely formatted. So every sentence is on a new line. And that's pretty much ready to like just quality control in the post, right? And the cool thing about this is I could create 5 different versions of this article. And then those articles can potentially rank on Google, right? Pretty awesome. So for example, if we put in like this into Google here, you can see that my videos will rank, but then often our articles will rank on the first page of Google as well, like you can see right here, right? So what we actually did with this video, we can post content on LinkedIn, we can post LinkedIn content on our websites, we can post content on X or Reddit. It's quite easy to create the content because you're using a rewriting project like this. It takes the original content and rewrites it 5 or 10 times in a unique way. You quality control it, publish it to your other platforms, and you can generate leads that way, right? That's basically what we do. And then if we actually want to just plug that into our WordPress website or into LinkedIn or whatever, we can just copy this and then go over to where we're going to post it. Right? So for example, if I wanted to now post an article from Claude to LinkedIn, I can just go over here and we can click on write article and then we can paste that information in, right? Like this. There we go. Boom. And it's all nicely formatted and ready to go, right? And then we've got the article. As you can see, it's all nicely formatted. It's got links to where we want to funnel traffic to. And that's basically one of the strategies that we use to get a lot of traffic across many different platforms. So Claude is incredibly powerful for that. Honestly, if you did the same thing inside ChatGPT, I just don't think you're going to get the same outputs. So you can use something like this. And let me show you another thing that we actually use Claude for as well. Just to recap, we've covered creating landing pages and we've covered automating SEO content, which is pretty awesome. And by the way, if you want to see, does this actually work? Does this sort of content actually rank for SEO, for example? I know we've got a few internet marketers watching this channel. Then you can see, for example, if we look at juliangolder.com, we actually started using this process around about late September. And you can see the traffic chart over here, right? So the traffic for this page is just going up really nicely. And you can see the trajectory of it as well, right? So Google actually does rank this content as well. I think Google doesn't care whether it's AI generated content or not. What it actually cares about is what's the quality of it? Does it actually answer the questions? Does it help people? And I would say that Claude writes in such a way that, especially if you have the right prompts, which we teach inside the AI Path for Boredom, that you're going to get the best possible outputs you get. Okay. So if we go back at some other options we've got, so we've covered creating landing pages, we've covered creating SEO content. There's something else that you can use Claude for, and this is pretty powerful as well, is you can actually just build out mini apps and then you can share those with the world as artifacts, or you can just bookmark them and use them yourself, right? So for example, we say to Opus 4.5, okay, go off and create a mini app for a Pomodoro timer. It will create it like so. right? And that'll actually just build out mini apps inside the chat right here. Now, whilst we're waiting for that to load, let me show you something else that you can do. So this is really good for collecting the news as well. So if we go inside here, and then we're going to make sure that we have web search enabled. And then inside here, you can say, okay, give me the latest AI updates and news from today, specifically about AI tools, plus new tools I could cover in my YouTube videos, plus live streams, or whatever, right? And basically, because this can actually research the web, it can begin to connect to the web, start searching around online, do research for you. And I find it's really powerful for that too. So you can see here, it's beginning to search the web. We don't have to tell it to search the web as well. That's the other cool thing, is it just does it automatically. It's kind of like a search engine, but the difference is that it curates everything you want, right? Whereas, for example, if you type that in Google, let's do this, for example, it's not going to generate an answer for you, right? And so in many ways, particularly for research tasks, you're going to get much better outputs from Claude than you would from using Google directly. What else we got here? Proud Mary says, I am using Claude AI to write Python code that I test and run on VS Code. Works like a charm. Yeah, he's absolutely awesome for that as well. We're actually going to come on to Claude Code later inside this video too. You can see how we can do the research now. So for example, it's talking about NVIDIA Keynote, the major updates from that. And if we actually check out the article and see when it was published, that was brand new. It was literally just updated an hour ago, right? And already Claude picks it up and you need to talk about this in your next videos, right? And so it's quite easy to just find the latest news or the headlines. And if you're creating content or if you're trying to stay updated with the rest of the industry, this is pretty awesome as well. All right. What else we got here? Proud Mary says, always get new ideas from these videos. Got to start thinking outside the box for uses. The sky's the limit. Absolutely. There's so much you can do with this. By the way, if people are watching this and you want to get more out of Claude, you can actually use extended thinking. Now, with extended thinking, as you can see right here, you can toggle it on and off at the bottom. Extended thinking is very powerful. It is a little bit slower and it does tend to use more credits, right? So if you're trying to limit the amount of credits, maybe you want to just stick on the free plan, you wouldn't use thinking, right? But if you want, for example, to code out a project that's quite complex, or you want to get like the best possible outputs that you can, then you're going to switch over to extended thinking. I by default just don't have it on because sometimes some of the tasks I do just take way too long with this stuff. Now, if we go back to the Pomodoro timer app over here, you can see that we've got this timer app and it works perfectly first time round. We can switch between the tabs at the top. So we can, for example, switch between focus mode, short breaks, and long breaks. As you can see, we can refresh it and actually counts how many sessions we did, right? Now, we can publish the artifact or we can download that and host that on a separate website. But the main thing is to know that without coding, if you just have an idea in your head and you're not sure what to create, then you can just say, okay, create this and it will go off and do it. If you're not sure, okay, where to get started with what apps would help you the most, then you can actually go back into Claude here and you can say, okay, give me 5 ideas for mini apps I could build inside Claude artifacts that would help me the most. And the other cool thing about this as well is like you can build simple apps like this. They work perfectly first time round. You don't have to hire anyone to do this anymore. But also the other cool thing is that if you want AI to work inside the app, let's say, for example, it was an AI SEO content tool generator that actually creates a tool and creates the content with AI, then you can ask Claude to embed AI inside the tool and it would actually use AI to do that, right? So you can see how this works, right? Now, for example, here as well, if we go back inside here, let me just pull this up. We can actually take a screenshot of this, right? And we can plug that into Claude to improve things that we're building out. Or what we can do is we can just give it some tweaks and it'll quickly make those tweaks to improve the design, right? So for example, if I go inside the chat here and I'm like, okay, make this more interesting, colorful, animated animations, dopamine inducing, crazy effects, etc., plus fun, it should be able to do that for us. All right. Proud Mary says, I know it's like magic. I suppose the adoption of electricity in homes was similarly amazing. Yeah, that's a pretty cool way to look at it. Cool analogy. What else have we got here? Gamify the Pomodoro and make it so you can experience some more times. Ah, yeah, that's a pretty cool prompt here. All right, so we're going to try this. I'm going to wait for this to load. And then once it's done, actually turn the Pomodoro timer, thanks for the comment, into a EXP generator game, right? So that's pretty cool as well. Is there any chance to connect QuickBooks? So if you want to connect external apps, there's a couple of ways you can do it, right? One of the easiest ways to do it is you connect QuickBooks to Zapier. And then you can actually, inside the connectors here, you can add Zapier as an MCP. I've got some other videos on that will help you set that up, right? So you can actually connect Zapier and then have QuickBooks connected to Zapier and then use that inside Claude. The other thing I'm just wondering is, do they have an MCP? If they have an MCP server like you see here, then you can actually connect Claude to the remote server for QuickBooks. Now, if you wonder, okay, how do you set this up? Sometimes there's instructions on how to do that, right? So you can see right here. Other times what you can actually do is you can just copy and paste the instructions from here and here into Claude and just say, how do I set this up? That's pretty simple as well, right? So yeah, that's basically a couple of ways you can connect QuickBooks directly to this powerful tool. What else we got here? Are you able to demo an end-to-end session of building an app and deploying it for public use? Depends what you're building, right? So if it's, for example, a short mini app like this, then I could easily just deploy it right now and here and now, right? If it's something with a backend, I'd probably use Claude combined with Cursor and then deploy it publicly, and that would be the best way to use that, right? So it depends what you want to use it for and how you want to use it. I will tell you that we've built out, for example, websites like this, as you can see. So this is Enterprise SEO ROI Calculator. We actually use Bolt to build this, and it's just like a calculator website as well. And then you can easily build this with Claude. And then if we type that keyword into Google here, you can see the page that we built with AI directly ranking on Google, #1 for that keyword. And then also you can see here it funnels traffic to our SEO strategy sessions. So you can use Claude and other AI tools for building out mini apps as well, which is pretty cool as well. So you can see how this works step by step. Now, another cool idea that I just saw inside the chat here that was being asked was that you can actually, for example, screenshot a spreadsheet and then plug that into Claude and say, recreate this. So let's try that out right now. So for example, here, if we go to this spreadsheet that we've got, so this is a spreadsheet where I actually use Claude for tweeting. We can copy this image and then we can go into Claude, paste in the screenshot, and we can say, okay, recreate this. And it should be able to recreate the spreadsheet for us using the screenshot from our spreadsheet, right? And so it's beginning to build that out. Now, in the meantime, we've got the Pomodoro app being built out right there. And you can just see how many different use cases you can use this for. It's pretty much endless. The other cool thing that I like to use this for is Twitter. So one of the more complex systems I have, but it's working really well, is to actually use Claude for creating tweets and then training Claude on what works and what doesn't. And I'll show you an example. So if we pull up my X account right here, you can see that recently we've been starting to get a lot more reach from X, right? So for example, some days we'll reach 329,000 people, sometimes 239,000 people, whereas before we were reaching like 120,000 people a day, right? And so how do we do this and what's the system that we're using? So what we're doing actually here is we have this spreadsheet where we track the number of the post, the date, the post link. So this is the actual link of the Twitter post, as you can see. And then we also have the number of views and the hook that we used for that post, right? Now, how does that relate to Claude? What I actually do is I've created a custom project for tweeting, as you can see right here. And this allows me to automate content that I can quickly post on Twitter. But the difference here is that we actually train it on what works and what doesn't, right? So we give it some information about our audience and who we're trying to reach. And then based on that, we actually plug in the top 10% performing hooks, right? So based on whatever worked the best, we actually have a list of the top 10% hooks to do more of. And we have a list of the bottom 90% hooks to avoid, right? Now, why is that important? It's important because we're basically training on Claude to say, do more of this because this is working, avoid this because it doesn't work, right? And so what I can do each day is update the hooks that are working and not working. I can go back into Claude. Then I can, for example, delete the whole list right here and retrain the instructions so that it's got some information on what works and what doesn't. And every time I use this project to create more content, I get more data on what works and what doesn't. And that helps me create better tweets inside Claude. So it's a self-iterating feedback loop, right? And so, for example, here, we've now got the Pomodoro timer as well. It's actually got sound effects inside there as well, which is pretty cool, as you can see. And it works perfectly, but it just looks a lot more interesting. We've got the chill time over here, so we can set the timer. And we've got the mega break as well, as you can see. So it just looks a lot more interesting. You can create some cool stuff with this, right? Now, if you actually want to deploy this as a kind of mini app on the web that you can share with the world, then you can copy this link and you can paste it in, right? And now that'll create and share this link, and we can just share this link on Twitter or wherever, right? Pretty nice. Now, what you can also do is based on feedback, you could screenshot and just say, okay, do this. So we've taken a screenshot from the comments today, say, do this to Claude, and then it begins to build this out, right? Pretty nice. Now, inside here, you can see that Claude has now recreated the spreadsheet with all the links, as you can see, so it can recreate spreadsheets. And then you can actually open those in Google Drive, right? So if we click on open in Drive, that will actually generate a Google Sheet inside Google Drive based on the information that we plugged in, right? Based on the screenshot and the website that we said recreate. So it's pretty cool. You can use the spreadsheet directly inside here, right? Or you can download it, or you can just open it in Google Drive, and Claude will connect directly from Google Drive and create the file for you. Pretty amazing. So there's just so much you can do with this. And honestly, we've barely got started here, to be honest with you. But these are a few examples of the use cases and how you can build with this stuff, right? What else we got here? Any recommended platforms? Saw your Minimax video recently, was pretty impressed. Felt like base 44, but so many tools, not sure what's the most effective quick setup for my need. If you want to check out, Claude is my favorite for building with. If you want to check out more, check out the AI Profit Boarding. We've got loads of training inside there, loads of cool like business automations. You can actually learn from stage 1 to stage 6, from beginner to expert, exactly how to use these platforms. And there's a list of my recommended tools as well. But yeah, I think Claude is honestly one of the best. You can also use open code. That impressed me. I tested it out yesterday. That was pretty cool. But yeah, so let me show you an example of how we use the greatest hits rewriter. So we've got the bottom 90% and the top 10% hooks, right? And so what we can do here is we can take an example video like this, we can download it, and I'll show you how this system works. So if we go back to the spreadsheet like this, and what we do is I have an SOP where I can quickly just create content with Claude and then post it to X to get bigger and better results, right? So for example, here, if we download a post, what we got here. All right, so let's take this Notebook LM video. We're going to download that. We're going to open up in YouTube as well. And then we're going to click on the transcript section of it. Copy this, right? We'll go over to Claude. We'll paste in the transcript like so. That's going to automatically create several versions of the tweets. Order it by which one is most likely to go viral, and then I can pick between them. Now, in the meantime, we've downloaded the video. We're going to paste that into X like you can see right here. And then what we're going to do is just wait for this tweet to be built, right? Now, if you use extended thinking, you will get better outputs when it's going to take longer. The other thing I would say is whilst you're waiting for the outputs, if you actually copy and paste like this, is annoying. If you copy and paste like this, it just pastes it into a nasty paragraph, right? And the formatting is not that nice. Now, if you wait for Claude to finish, right? So if we stop Claude right there, and then we take the content and we paste it in again, and we press Command, Shift, and D, you can see here that it pastes it into neat formatting, and then you can quickly just set it up so it's nicely formatted. If you want to just add the finishing touches, and then boom, shakalaka, we've just posted a tweet whilst I'm talking to you and automated it with X, right? Now I can put it into my spreadsheet. It's either going to be a top performer or a bottom performer, but either way, tomorrow we can refill Claude projects with better hooks. And from there, we can create better content, right? So that's one of the best options for using Claude for create content as well. So they're just a few of the things that we can do. Let me show you another example of how we use this. So I actually use Claude for creating live stream content, right? I actually have this mega prompt. And by the way, just inside the Twitter automation, you can see I've attached like our best performing go-to tweets that are performing the best inside the files so that Claude can reference that for creating tweets. But if we go back to the other Claude project that we've built here, what I actually like to do with this is I'll put in my topic. So for example, topic equals Claude for course. And what that's actually going to do from here is it's going to generate the live stream notes for my video that I can use on the video, but also I can give away as a lead magnet. So for example, here it's going to find all the relevant links that I can show. So I don't have to research those. It's going to format it beautifully with the introduction and the hook of what I can talk about in the first few seconds. Then it's going to talk about a custom framework, right? So it uses a Russell Brunson style webinar format, which is a hook story offer. Then it's going to give me some examples of stuff I can build on the live stream. And this is how a lot of people ask me, how do you create content daily? How do you come up with all this content? How do you build with it? This is what I'm doing, right? This is the process that works for me. And it creates a really long guide just based on that single prompt. So based on this single topic, that create a super long prompt really useful stuff. It will even come up with a 30-day plan for implementing this stuff with step-by-step tweets for using this. And it'll give CTAs throughout the page to join the AI profit boarding community when people are reading through the notes, which I think is pretty awesome. And if we actually go inside these notes, so let's pull up an example that we plugged in recently. So for example, like the retriever automation tool notes, you can see here, so it builds out all the notes from here to here, right? Now, if we plug that into a presentation, into a Google Doc, just to check the word count, it's created a 6,000 word guide, 30 pages, a 30-page guide that is automated and formatted perfectly in the exact order that I want it to using this prompt, right? It's a super prompt for live streams. And it's insane how useful that is, right? Imagine how much time that would take me to prepare those notes myself, a ridiculous amount, right? Whereas I can automate it with Claude, and it's the only tool I know that can actually do this stuff. So it's just insanely powerful. Look at the formatted, even the way that it's the mini details, it's the small details. For example, you see how it's adding like nice little emojis, it's formatting the bullet point lists, it separates the introduction but labels them so that I can quickly know where I'm at. It creates a nice little name for the framework that I'm teaching in the video, plus the sub headline as well. And then it just guides people through exactly how to use this stuff. It even breaks people's beliefs as well, as you can see right here, so that I can read them out and just be like, okay, you might believe this, but actually you should believe that, blah, 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 to help people win with AI. And then it comes up with a story. It comes up with an offer for the AI Profit Boardroom, social media posts to promote the actual live stream itself, as you can see. So I can just paste that in and insert the video links from YouTube. And then finally from here, it will actually create 100 prompts relevant to that specific tool. And the cool thing is, because this is connected to the web, you can actually gather information. It researches 20 different sources about that particular tool, and then it will automate all the notes for the live stream that I can present later, right? And it just makes everything so much easier. So that really all I have to do is just get on the live stream, find a really good idea for the live stream, and boom, we're good to go, right? So it's incredibly powerful for this stuff. Another thing that I like to use as well is I have a YouTube titles creator, right? So if we open up this project, and by the way, let's just come back to that Pomodoro timer app. Let's have a look at this. So this is the more gamified one, as you can see. So it actually generates experience points based on completion. We can generate a daily streak here as well. So it's more gamified. We've got levels at the top, and you can see it marks as novice, or here's the next level, apprentice, blah, blah, blah. Okay? And then you can see here it's 0 out of 4, and then it goes to a mega break. We've got a stats breakdown and also an achievements breakdown as well, right? So we've just created a productivity game whilst I was talking to you, which is insane. So from here, I'm going to show you the YouTube titles generator. And basically what this has done is similar to X, where I put in the top 10% of my titles on YouTube, and then the bottom 90% that didn't perform. And I'm like, Claude, do more of this and less of that, right? And so if I type in my topic, let's say, for example, Claude's course. So let's say that's the title for the video today. It can give me some ideas on what I should talk about inside my video, right? And so it will actually give me some ideas. I'm like, okay, based on this, here's what's working, here's what's not working, right? And so here's some recommendations based on your data that you've given me. And so it gives me like a bunch of ideas for stuff I could talk about inside the video. And then I can just use that as a title. Boom, ready to go. And it also tells us like, here's what to avoid for Claude content. And also here's a bunch of other high potential winning ideas, right? So it recommends talking about Notebook LM because they tend to perform really well as well. All right. Yeah. And so it's just super easy, super powerful to use all this stuff. Now, again, I said I was just getting started. I did mean it. So from here, what we're going to do is we're also going to open up something called Claude Computer Use, right? So I'm just going to log into this. This is Claude for Chrome. If you never come across this, you need to be on, I think it's a Pro or the Max plan to use this. But basically, this is a Chrome extension you can quickly install, Claude Chrome, right? And it's in beta phase right now. But basically what it can do, for example, is it can look through your emails and then organize them. It can, for example, help you with shopping. It can also, for example, make reservations for you. You can fill out forms and that sort of thing. It has so much potential to it, and it's pretty amazing. I mean, you can actually click on these and try these examples right here, and then you can organize what you want to do and how you want to do it, right? And so let me give you an example. Right? So if we open up the browser here, we're going to click on it. I understand, blah, blah, blah. And over here, we can use Claude Computer Use to really control our browser and start building stuff out, right? So if I switch, I've got ask before acting and act without asking. So that will actually give me a plan, ask before acting, before I enable it to go off and just do whatever it wants to do. If I say act without asking, it's a bit more high risk. So I don't recommend it to everyone, but it will basically just go off and automatically do what I ask it to. So for example, if I'm like, okay, go to, create an SEO article about SEO training in Japan, then plug that into a blog post or into a Google Doc for me too, right? We're going to click enter and now actually open up a new tab, as you can see. So it's beginning to open up a new tab. It's opening up Google Docs, right? And this is actually my Google Docs, as you can see. And then it's going to start creating a blank document. And again, this is all hands-free. It's just going off and doing this for me automatically as an AI agent. And now it's going to begin to start writing the blog inside Google Docs, right? Now we can have that working in the background whilst we do other stuff. So we don't even have to have the tab open and then it's just working its magic. So if we say something like this, it's beginning to write the article and you can actually see what it's doing, right? So it created the new tab, navigated to it, took a screenshot. Now it's beginning to type in the document, the information, etc. And it's going to start creating this, right? Now, the thing about this is, and here's what's scary, is like when I first tested this out a year ago, it was really early stages, right? It literally just come out. The things that it's beginning to do now is pretty insane. It's just getting better and better all the time, right? You can see the full guide is written right here. We've got the full article, right? That's been automated inside Google Docs, as you can see. We can click insert and then there we go. We've got the article based on our content. And if we wanted Claude to edit that content as well, we could do that. If we wanted to go off and post a tweet, I think it could do that pretty easily as well. You could the other thing is if you're using it inside Chrome, it's got access to all your logins, right? So your Google Drive, it's got access to, for example, your LinkedIn and everything else. And it can just go off, search your web, control your computer and do whatever you want. And pretty crazy. So that is called computer use. And that's the agent computer use, right? Now, if we actually move on here, what I'm going to do over here is I'm going to open up something called Claude Code, right? Now, a lot of people watching this will probably understand what Claude Code is. If you don't, basically, this is a version of Claude that runs inside your terminal, right? As you can see right here. So we're going to click yes, continue. That's opened up Claude Code. I actually have tons of training inside the AI Success Lab if you have never used Claude Code before. So if you just go, this is a free community, connects you with 43,900 members. If you go to here and then you type in Claude, you'll see that we have loads of training and tutorials and exactly how to use this stuff, as you can see, right? All with video notes, all with information on how to use this stuff, all neatly formatted with SOPs and that sort of thing, right? And so you can get this inside the AI Success Lab, link in the comments description, plus you get the community as well. But basically from here, we can start using Claude Code. Now, what I like to use this for is if there's something technical that I just really I don't want to do it, right? So for example, if it's opening up or cloning GitHub repositories, that can be an absolute pain normally, right? So for example, if we had a look at, there was a tool I was testing out yesterday, I opened a notebook LM with GitHub. So what I can actually do is I can just copy the whole GitHub like this. I can go back into Claude and I can say, open this up for me, right? And instead of me having to be like technical and cloning whatever repository, like I can just take all the information from this GitHub on the page, take all the instructions, and then it will actually go off and start opening that for me. Right? So you can see here, it begins to open this up. And then it will ask you like, do you want to proceed? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that, etc.? I'm just going to go with yes. Obviously, be careful when you're using this stuff, but Claude Code is really good at taking complex tasks, like for example, repository or technical stuff that I'm not good at. And then it will actually, for example, start operating my computer, right? So it's open up Docker automatically, and then it will set up and clone the repository and everything else for me, right? And then if there's any sort of AI apps that I want to set up from GitHub, I can easily do it like that. There's a lot more you can do with GitHub, but they're just some examples. And yeah, it's pretty amazing what you can do with Claude Code. Now, if you're using Claude Code as well, whilst that's running, let me show you something else. So if we go to Anti-Gravity here, all right. So if we go to Anti-Gravity, this is a free IDE, a coding tool that we can use locally, right? It's free, it's by Google, it's pretty powerful, and it's a great tool to use, right? So I'm just going to close the terminal here, close Docker. So inside Anti-Gravity, you can code and build stuff out on the right-hand side. Now, Anti-gravity was really good, but one thing that's even better is using Claude Code with anti-gravity. So, for example, here, if we're building out a new project, let's say, for example, we open up a new window, we're just going to, for example, take this to-do app, right? And it's going to load the window, begin to build that out, right? So we can open up previous projects. Now, if you go to terminal here, a new terminal, you can actually open up Claude Code, and that can tweak the project that you've built and improve it. And the reason that I like that is, number one, Claude Opus 4.5 is much better for coding, and Claude Code is really powerful. But number two, you get limited credits with Gemini inside Anti-Gravity. So if you're using this program for free, you don't want to pay for it, then a good way to get better outputs from it is, if you already use Claude, you can just open up a terminal and then ask Claude to improve the outputs, right? I tend to find that gets you much better results. So for example, here, if we say, okay, open up a project in a browser, right? And this is something that we've actually coded out previously. This is a to-do list app, all right? And now the AI agent inside Anti-Gravity, Google Anti-Gravity, has opened this app up, right? Now, it's okay, but it's a little bit basic, this app, okay? And so what we can actually do is we can go inside Claude Code now. I'm going to stop the agent over here. Go inside Claude Code and just say, okay, make this more interesting, dopamine inducing, gamify it with experience points, make it colorful, add animations, etc. Right? And so Claude Code can actually now begin to take our instructions, which are just in plain English, and then edit the code and the lines inside here, right? And so you can see it's now already reading the HTML, the CSS, the JavaScript, etc., and it can begin to improve the project outputs much quicker. So we can get much better outputs quickly, right? It's just beginning to edit that right here. So it's really powerful inside Anti-Gravity. It's great inside Terminal for Claude Code. Great for opening up GitHubs and that sort of thing. And these are some ways that most people don't use it. But once you get your head around it, it's so much easier to just start automating a lot of the technical stuff. Now, something else that you can do, if you go back over to Claude, and by the way, we've got that article fully written out over here. So we're going to close out. If you go back to the AI agent here, I'm going to exit that, delete that group. Okay, good stuff. From here, Dean AI says, theoretically, can Anti-Gravity control the terminal that's called Code and Control Core? I've never tried that, actually. That would be interesting to try and see what happens. Yeah, maybe it can. Another thing that you can do inside Claude, if you have a regular task that you do, you can actually set up something called Claude Skills. So if we go over to our settings here, I'm going to pull this up, and then we're going to go over to Capabilities, right? Now, inside Capabilities, what you can see here is that we can select number one, AI-powered artifacts, which means that you can actually create artifacts with AI power inside it. But then also what you can do inside here is you can use something called skills. Now, these are repeatable, customizable instructions that Claude can follow in any chat. Now, if you're not sure what this is, basically, for example, you could get it to, like for me, I've actually got something set up called a business advisor help skill, right? As you can see right here, you want to make sure that you enable this, and you can always add new ones later. You can create them with Claude, you can write skill instructions, or you can actually import skills as well. Now, what this allows you to do is, if you have a repeatable task, for example, I don't know, writing a LinkedIn post, you could say to Claude, okay, use the LinkedIn writing post skill to generate a LinkedIn post as well. Rebel says, sweet, just joined the boardroom. If you had to choose only 3 tools forever, which would they be and why, just out of curiosity? Yeah, that's a great question. Number one, I think Claude is number one on the list. You got to bear in mind as well, these things change all the time, right? But yeah, I think number one is Claude. And the other two that we use like on a day-to-day basis, so you've probably seen from my YouTube channel, are HeyGen and 11 Labs. And they just help us so much with creating content, because that content fuels every other platform, right? So the avatar videos that we create on our YouTube channel, we actually use Claude to write the scripts. There's a full process inside the AI profit boarding, but the avatar channel that we're using, we use HeyGen and 11 Labs to create the video and the audio. And so between Claude, 11 Labs, and HeyGen, they're the most powerful tools that I use. Absolutely love them. From here, we've got the skill section, right? And so what we're going to do here is we can call a skill. So if I say, okay, use the advisor help skill topic equals, and then we're just going to put a topic. So for example, like improving AI profit boardroom marketing strategy, right? And then also we're going to put 2 advisors. that I want to debate my topic, right? So I'm going to put advisor one equals Alex Hormozy, advisor two equals Russell Brunson, right? We'll put advisor avatars like that. So we can call the skills that were pre-built inside Claude now to generate this content. Now, whilst we're waiting for that, let me show you something else now. So if we go back to the chats here and we want to use Claude skills, and let's say you've been working on something previously, right? So for example, here, we're using this chat to create YouTube titles, right? And so if we go back here, let's find that chat. Yeah, so we're creating YouTube titles like this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, save this as a skill, call it YouTube titles, right? And so we've taken that chat previously where we've done this process of creating new titles, and then we can actually save it as a skill, right? And you can see is I'll create a skill based on the YouTube title analysis for you. And so what this is going to do is save that skill inside Claude, inside my personal account. And then I can actually, number one, export it and share it with the world, and people can then import it into their Claude. But number two, I can call on that anytime I'm coming up with YouTube titles now, right? And so I don't have to navigate to the project. I don't have to think about, okay, where did I bookmark that, blah, blah, blah. I can just go inside the chat and say, create a YouTube title, and it'll call up the skill. Now, you can also see here that it's now created the avatar help skill, as you can see. And so that's how we call up skills inside the chat. So we've used the personal advisor skill, and that's basically two avatars debating with each other to improve something on your business. All right. So you can see this is now coming up with a bunch of ideas for the content. We're going to package that into a skill, and boom, we are living the dream, my friend, right? And it's quite easy to do this. A lot of people think, oh, it's going to take a lot of time to do this, blah, blah, blah. But actually, no, you can do this really quickly using the setup right here. And so it's actually created something called a skill MD file. It's saved it as YouTube titles, right? And it's given a brief of here's a description, here's what to do inside here. It's actually saved the winning patterns of what works really well, the failing formulas to avoid, and then also the title generation process and quick references for templates, as well as the content planning priority, right? So now, if I go inside the skills section of my settings, as you can see right here, we're going to click on your skills, and you can see we just need to click on copy to your skills, as you can see. So it's copied it to our skills. If we click on manage here, we've got YouTube titles now saved as a skill inside Claude, right? So if I have a topic in mind that I'm thinking about creating content around, so let's say, for example, Axio, Alibaba AI tool, use the YouTube title skill to come up with ideas for this. This is now going to call that skill that we used previously, right? So it's reading the skill to generate the outputs. And then it's going to search the web for information about Axio and how it works, etc. And now it's using the YouTube title skill to come up with a bunch of ideas that work really well. And you can see how it quickly came up with this, right? And now I've got a bunch of YouTube title ideas, and it's all personalized to me. It's all based on data that I've trained Claude on, and we can use that anytime we need, as you can see right here. Now, another thing that I really like to do is inside Claude, we have the connectors, right? So you can actually upload from Google Drive, as you can see right here. You can actually add from GitHub and clone repositories. You can actually add stuff to project as well, right? So if we click on add to project, that will actually open up our project as well. And then we can upload files, take screenshots, etc. Right? Now, if we go to the section here, what we can do inside the chat here is we can create like trackers for stuff that I use day to day, right? So I always think if you've got a system for something, it's going to help you a lot. And I'll try and put this into context. So for example, let's say hiring sales team reps for my SEO agency, right? Which I actually am. So this is a real use case, right? What I can do is say, okay, figure out a 30-day plan for implementing this and attracting sales reps to my team with SEO experience, right? And then from here, what I can say is, okay, now create a spreadsheet tracker to track the inputs that get the outputs. Input equals set up a new job post on Upwork every day, plus reach out to the candidate hot list. And basically, what I love about this with Claude is it's very logical and it understands all the context about me. It's also got a memory and it remembers me and who I am, right? And so what it will actually do is come up with a 30-day plan for basically achieving like any goal that I want, right? And this is something that I've used for hiring sales reps, improving churn rates on the AI Profit Boardroom, coming up with better Twitter content, for example. Anything that I want to improve inside my business, what I'll do is I'll ask Claude for the inputs and the outputs that will help me leverage that better, right? And then it will just come up with the ideas right here. Now, whilst we're waiting for that to load, other things that I can show you as well. And so if we go to settings here, you can change different information about you. So you can actually describe what you do in terms of your work, who you are. You can change the appearance. These are the basic settings. You can change like the font size or the font style as well. I actually prefer it just in dark mode, to be honest. It's a lot easier. Inside the usage section here, this is quite important. So depending on what plan you're on, if you're on the free plan, for example, you can have very small limits right here. You can see for our weekly limits, we're nowhere near hitting them, but it is right at the start of the week. And we have limits for all models, but also limits for Sonnet only, as well as limits for our current session. Now, this resets every few hours, right? So sometimes if you hit the limits, it's going to say, okay, you've hit the limit for your session, come back in 3 hours at 11 a.m., and then you can start using it again. And you can also set up extra usage, which means it will consume, so it will start using more. I think it will charge you more as well for using extra amounts as well. Now, inside the capabilities here, we've got the AI powered artifacts, which is something that we're going to do next. So if we go inside Claude now, let's say create an AI SEO content writing tool to generate content for any topic that I type in. Right? And what this is going to do is create a mini app that we can use for generating SEO content, but also it's going to use AI directly inside the tool itself. So we'll wait for that to load. In the meantime, we have the 30-day tracker that we can use for tracking our activity, right? And if we click on open in Drive, we can check that out and see what it looks like, all right? So this is the 30-day plan for hiring sales reps. You can see it's actually colored out the spreadsheet itself, as you can see. And then the best way to do this, I always think, is save it as a Google Sheet so that you can actually edit it inside Google Docs. But it just comes in like the native format. And then you can see here, it's built out a 30-day plan, right? So here's the inputs and here's the outputs, right? So for example, Upwork posts, Upwork outreach, LinkedIn outreach, Facebook group posts, SEO community posts, right? And it basically sets up the inputs for this plan so that I literally can't fail, right? If all of these numbers say like 1 and it's for every single day, you can't fail at hiring a good SEO rep or whatever the problem or the constraint is or the task that you have to automate is. You can easily set up trackers like this. And I think that's one of the most powerful use cases of Claude that I've not really seen anyone else doing. And then you can track the output. So applications received, screening calls booked, screening calls completed, trial tasks sent, final interviews, offers made, etc. Right? And it tracks it throughout the month as well. It's also set up the tracker so that it matches the date. Right. So, for example, over here, we have the 6th of January. So it actually figures out, okay, this is the current date. And then it has a total section at the bottom with pre-filled formulas as well. Right. And so if you're like, okay, I need the tracker for tracking sales calls for the month, or you could easily build that Claude and automate it as well. Right? Pretty amazing. So if you go inside here, it's now building out the AI SEO content writer, as you can see. And then you can see we can now type in the type of guide that we want to build with, the tone, the word count, the target keywords, etc. So let me show you an example. So if we put best AI tools 2026 over here using this content writer, and then let's say, for example, we want to generate a blog post, professional, 1,500 words, target keywords, AI tools, we can click generate content, and that'll begin to use AI to generate the content for our SEO blog, right? And so we've created our own kind of AI SaaS tool in literally one prompt. It just one-shotted it, right? As you can see right there. So it's beginning to build this out. And then once you're happy with the outputs, etc., then you can click on publish artifact and you are good to go on that. All right. So that's basically it. Just to recap, we've covered so much right there. I've covered, for example, how to build landing pages and websites based on what's worth me, how to generate SEO content, how to build mini apps like this, as you can see with AI built into them, how to automate your Twitter. You can see that it's actually generated the SEO article over here. And then if we copy that, we'll go to Markdown Live Preview. There you go. Boom. You've just created an SEO tool that can generate content for you. Pretty amazing. I've shown you how I automate live streams and live stream notes and create like 6,000 word guides using Claude. We've talked about creating skills, like for example, YouTube titles, agent computer use as well. And then also how to open up GitHub inside Claude Code, how to combine anti-gravity and Claude Code as well, and how to basically solve or fix any constraint in your business. Like we were talking about with hiring sales reps, right? Like you can create a 30-day plan, and it basically plans out the inputs, aka the tasks you have to do, so meticulously and so in such an easy way to track that you can basically solve any sort of issue within your business, right? If I'm like, okay, I need to get more customers for the profit boardroom, give me some ideas on what I can do today to improve that, then I can create a tracker here. And the other cool thing is, if this doesn't work, you can be like, okay, give me some more ideas. And then at the bottom as well, you've got a bunch of ideas on the 30-day plan, right? So it gives you the 30-day plan on the tab at the bottom. And then we've got the input targets and the benchmarks as well. So actual, here's a target, here's the actual, here's a gap, right? And here's how to improve it, which is pretty amazing as well. So it gives you like the KPIs for the project. And again, like that's something that might take a day for most people, and we've automated it in 10 minutes. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Now, if you want to get all of my trainings from today, you can get that inside the AI Success Lab. This is an amazing community where we basically connect you with 43,900 members, as you can see right here. It's a free community. You can post inside the community, see all the updates, etc. If you go to the classroom and then you go to January, you can find all my latest updates from this month. And again, we're only on the 6th of January, and you can see all this stuff that we've added inside the free training here. All of them come with video tutorials, plus resources, notes, 30-day plans, etc., plus prompts and everything else. What else we got here? So if you go inside the classroom here, and then, for example, you go to NA10 automations, you'll find all our free automations. We've got 53 AI SEO tools, a full course on learning AI automation, 1,000 NA10 templates. This is all free for you to check out, right? And then if you want to connect with me personally, if you want to join a tribe of winners, if you want to see how real business owners are actually using this for their business, then feel free to check out the AI Profit Boarding. Inside there, we have an amazing community. We have a actual daily accountability group where people post their goals, check in. You can see like people are tagging each other. So it's an amazing community where everyone's like very close knit as well. And I just love being part of that as well. And then also you can see here, we have like different challenges going on. You can see how people are posting and asking questions, and then we all help each other. For example, people are asking questions and then 7 people get back to them within 7 hours. Like it connects you with people, and you can get the answers and solve problems very quickly. You can also share wins. So you can see here, for example, like Jason automated his blog posts. You can see Leyland is sharing their SEO operating system. We've got, for example, Vladimir building out a backlink checker prototype and automating newsletters with AI. All sorts of crazy stuff, right? People building like Chrome extensions, and these are just wins within the last 7 days. So there's so much cool stuff going in there. It's just great to be part of something. You can also DM me personally, so you can direct message me whenever you need help. And you can also post inside the community whenever you need help. Here we have training calls 4 times a week. So you can actually jump on a coaching call with a PhD trained specialist. You know, you can jump on those calls and meet the community, asking the questions in real time, which I think is really powerful too. Empower AI says, does it print in WordPress? I was able to do that with Manus. Yeah, so if you're using the computer use AI agent, you could actually get the Chrome extension to operate WordPress for you. So let's say, for example, you were creating a blog post with Claude. You could ask Claude to use the agent browser to then go off and post inside WordPress as well, which is pretty awesome. And then inside the classroom here as well, we help you with business automation. So if you're like, okay, I want to learn how to apply all these systems that Julian's talked about today into my business, I want to learn how to automate AI, or you can learn how to build your first AI agent in under 5 minutes. And you can also learn from complete beginner to expert how to use AI and implement it inside your business using the homework from that classroom. On top of that, if you want to learn how to automate AI videos based on what's working for me, you can get that inside this section. So for example, we show you how to automate AI avatar videos, our best prompts, the full workflow. And these are like quick tutorials that you can either do yourself or give to your team and just implement very quickly. Top of that, if you struggle with overwhelm or shiny object syndrome, or you feel like it's too much to keep up with AI, or you feel like you're behind, we actually have a focus protocol, and we do weekly AI updates where I condense all of my 80 hours of research into a 5-minute update inside the weekly update section, right? So you can actually get these weekly updates where it's like, here's what to focus on, here's what to ignore. Turn off your notifications. You don't need to worry about YouTube tutorials. Just get on and focus for your business, and I'll handle the rest for you and keep you posted, right? So I think that's pretty awesome. That's one of the most value-driven things we can do for you. Also, you can learn how to get clients with a full agency course. So if you're a freelancer, you want more clients, you're an agency, you can learn how to get clients based on what works for me. You can watch back the coaching call recordings whenever you want. We've got all of our best AI SEO automations inside this section. Plus, you get free access to the SEO Elite Circle when you join annually. And also, you can check out our YouTube AI roadmap that shows you step by step how to build a YouTube channel based on what's working for you. All right. So feel free to get that link in the comments and description to the AI Profit Boardroom. Really appreciate you watching, and I will see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye bye.